Hello and a very warm welcome to our other episode of Focus on This Week. This is your weekly program that brings you different current and dominating topics with the purpose of influencing positive change within Tanzania, in Africa and in the world at large. Leading this program, as always, I am your host, Caroline Maleo, and of course we'll be together from the beginning till the end of our today's program. On this episode, we'll discuss a topic titled Sustainability of Water Sector through Investment and Financing. As we may all understand, water is one of the most fundamental resources for human life, economic development, and environmental sustainability. Across the world, access to safe and reliable water remains one of the most defining development challenges of our time. According to global estimates, billions of people still lack safely managed water, highlighting the urgent need for sustainable investment in water infrastructure and resource management. In Tanzania, water plays a critical role not only in supporting households, but also in powering agriculture, which is the backbone of our economy, industries, health systems, and growing urban economies. As the country continues to expand economically and its population steadily increasing, the demand for reliable water services is actually rising. This makes financing water supply systems, sanitation infrastructure, and protection of water resources more important than ever before. The government of Tanzania continues to make major investments in the water sector in order to expand access to clean and safe water for the citizens in both the urban and the rural areas. For instance, during the recent visit of the Minister for Water, Minister Juma Aweso, he actually in that visit was able to secure new high-capacity pumping systems for the Ruvu Juu and the Ruvu Chini water treatment projects, which actually aims at, with an investment of over 16.5 billion Tanzanian shillings that actually aim at strengthening water production and supply in the city of Dar es Salaam. In addition, the government recently launched the 22.8 billion shillings water project covering 28 towns in Mpanda municipality, a project whose foundation stone was laid by the Prime Minister Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba, which actually demonstrates the continued government's commitment in expanding water infrastructure across the country, Tanzania. However, financing water projects alone is not enough. Protecting and conserving water resources remains equally important. Water resources such as rivers, lakes, wetlands, and underground aquifers must actually be safeguarded from pollution, over extraction, and environmental degradation. After all, as the famous saying goes, that water is life, and ensuring its sustainability is actually essential for the well-being of both the present and the future generation. It is actually with this context that Tanzania joins the rest of the world to commemorate the Water Week from the 16th to the 22nd of March 2026, a week that is actually dedicated to raising awareness, strengthening partnerships, and mobilizing resources. So on this episode, we examine how the water sector programs and projects are actually financed, and actually the progress that Tanzania has made, and what more needs to be done in order to ensure long-term sustainability in the water sector for the citizens of Tanzania. Joining me to discuss further on our today's topic are two distinguished guests. One is Dr. Sekela Twisa, who is the Director of Project Appraisal and Resource Mobilization at the National Water Fund. You're mostly welcome to Focus on This Week. But we're also joined with Alawi Mbwana, who is the Director of Customer Service at the Tanga Urban Water Supply and Sanitation Authority, that is Tanga UWASA. Welcome to Focus on This Week today.
Thank you very much.
Let's start our discussion. Let me start with Dr. Sekela. Tanzania is actually currently commemorating the National Water Week. Can you kindly tell us why is this week important for the water sector and for the institutions that are actually responsible for ensuring that there is good provision of water services to the people?
Thank you. With the background, why water work, as we are aware from the meeting which was held with the United Nations, and they agreed, all countries, like we should have a water week to raise awareness for the issues related to the water. And normally this is celebrated from 16 to 22nd March every year. And in Tanzania, we are part and parcel of this celebration. Why it is important? This celebration is important because normally water, as we are aware, is a life. Yeah? And sometimes people take water for granted. And with development and the changing in climate change, we observe different effects on the water issue from the quantity and the quality aspects. Now with the Water Week celebration, we really take it serious as a sector because it's a time to share with the community, Tanzanians and other stakeholders what is water, how far we've gone, where are we going, and the sustainability issues in general. So this celebration are very important in the country context because it gives the progress of where are we and where are we going related to water-related issues.
Indeed, the Water Week actually provides the overview of where we came from, where are we at, and where are we heading in the water services.
Definitely.
To you, Alawi Mbwana, can you kindly tell us how does this now Water Week help to raise awareness among the citizens on the importance of protecting the water sources in the country?
Thank you. As utilities in the country, like elsewhere in the world, we use the week to engage with stakeholders, different stakeholders, including our customers, the water consumers. We normally hold sessions for education, awareness creation, getting feedback from them because they are our customers and the users of the water services. So we need to know what the feeling is from them, so we can use that information to improve our services and ensure customer satisfaction. Yeah.
So the commemoration is done nationwide or in every region passes through that?
No, normally it's nationwide.
Nationwide?
Yes, and this year will be in Morogoro. Yes.
Okay, now we'll go back to the Water Week. Let's talk about something else. The government has been implementing a number of water supply projects within the country. Could you kindly give us an overview of these projects that have been made so far for the citizens to understand?
Okay, when we are talking on the water project in the water sector, we can categorize. First of all, we have these projects which are responsible for the protection of the water sources and securing water sources. Then we have a project for the water supply. This is where you can have water in your house. But also we have projects which are responsible for protection of the water quality of the water that we have. Now to start with the protection of the water sources, for instance, we have currently we have big projects of make sure that we have enough water. For instance, construction of the Kidunda Dam and construction of the different boreholes to increase the quantity of the water to the people. But also when you have this source, you need to transport them to the people. So we have other projects which involve transportation of this water from the source to the people where they live. But also we normally know that this water should reach you when it's a good quality and quantity. So we have some projects which are responsible for just treatment, which is also the part of the project cycle of the water sector. So now when you are talking for the ongoing projects, we can put them in the different categories. But all of them, they have to go parallel. Like you can have a source, then you have to transport, you have to treat, and people should treat this water. But on the cycle, you have to take care of the quality of the water.
You explained about projects that ensures that there is, protecting of the quality of water. Let me go to you. Can you kindly tell us, there was a challenge in Dar es Salaam last year actually, in some parts of Dar es Salaam, not the whole parts of Dar es Salaam, where the water that was coming out of the tap was not clean. Like the water that was coming out was dark. And you explained that we have projects to ensure that the water that comes out is clean. How, can you just explain to the audiences, how does that happen?
Yeah, the case didn't just happen in Dar es Salaam. It happened. Normally it can happen in different areas. It also happened in Tanga one time, in Morogoro different times. So the issue comes out of the increased turbidity and the impurities into the water within the sources, like the rivers, the dams, and the lakes. So when we don't conserve those sources, we can have the water that is pumped into the treatment plants that is has a high level of turbidity, the color, the mud color that you can see on the water, which if it's not treatable well, I mean these treatment plants have their maximum capacity to treat a certain level of turbidity. So if the water that is coming into the plants has a high level of turbidity than what the plant can treat or can purify, then the water is likely to go through the pipes and the taps with color. So the issue that what we need to do is to ensure that we conserve and protect the water sources. This is what Dr. Sekela refers to as the water quality projects, or ensuring that the water within the sources of a required or expected quality. Yeah.
Do you, with the works that you're doing, do you think the citizens are really aware that they have a role to play to protect and conserve the water?
Yeah, and we do that even within the Water Week engagements with the stakeholders and consumers in the public. We tell them that human activities within the water sources are restricted. This is by law. And so we also promote and give them awareness that we shouldn't engage into human activities along or within the areas which are protected to conserve the water sources and the quality of the water. Different utilities have different programs together with stakeholders, different stakeholders and the community of the people that live along the water sources to make sure that they don't misuse or they don't use the water sources in a way that they will increase the level of turbidity and putting dirt into the water sources. Yes.
You explained about the works that you're doing together with stakeholders. Let me go back to you, Dr. Twisa. Dr. Twisa, can you kindly tell us, you know, water sector development actually cannot rely only on government funding. So as he explained, you know, there is the part of stakeholders. Can you kindly tell us what role do these stakeholders, the partners, play in supporting the water sector in the country?
Yeah, we have been working with the different stakeholders in different angles in the water sector, starting from financing, protection-related issues, technical support, and the others. For instance, in financing, as we are aware that financing of the water sector projects need a lot of funding, and sometimes the government needed to get money from other sources, like that's what we call alternative financing. So we are working with the different partners who are supporting us in financing some of the projects, and also we are working on them to support us on technical aspects. For instance, helping us to give new technology, for instance, doing different studies for different projects. And but also stakeholder, not only at the international level, we have also community who are we really need them, especially on the water source protection. As the Alawi highlighted that we need those community to help us to protect these water sources in order to control the pollution. For instance, we have the law which tell them to stay 60 meters from the source. But this one cannot be done just taking the maybe water expert to protect this, but we need to engage community. So we have different programs within at a level, community level. We engage them like helping, telling the importance of this water source, but sometimes they protect themselves. So we really engage different stakeholders from different levels. Yeah.
You explained about alternative financing and the role of the partners, and even the community can also be a partner. Let me go to my other guest here. When she mentioned alternative financing, I remembered something that you actually mentioned, that Tanga Uwasa has succeeded in issuing its own bond that has actually been successful, and actually it shows that there is a bright future on that. Can you kindly tell us about this bond?
Yeah, okay. A bond for infrastructure improvement or development is just another way of getting funds from the normal calls. We may get funds from the loan, as a loan or as a subsidy, but the normal calls are the tariffs and the government support normally. So, but when you see that these normal causes outweighed with the requirement of funding, especially for infrastructure development, then we go out and seek other sources. We include a concession loan, support from the development partners, but as an alternative way, now the new phases of investment financing is going to these innovative financing. Issuance of a green bond is also one of them. So Tanga Uwasa issued a green bond in 2024, which is being used to finance the infrastructure improvement. Currently the project is ongoing, and it is expected to be completed in June 2026. The utility is improving its water treatment infrastructures, but also the distribution of water to the customers, the connection of new customers in the areas where the household had no water, but also importantly to conserve and protect the water sources that is used by the utility dependent on at a scale of more than 90% for the supply of water in its jurisdiction area, the Zigi River.
Okay, let me go back to Dr. Twisa. Dr. Twisa, we have had all this that he explained about the bond, but there was something that clicked in my mind. How does the government of Tanzania now secure funding as the government, not as the partners, the government secure funds for major water supply? And how do they evaluate that this project deserves to be funded? And there's something that I heard, that water projects are beyond expensive. Why is that the case?
To start with, why water sector project expensive, we can mention like 4 to 5 issues why they're expensive. To start with is the population. As we are aware, population is increasing very fast, and these people, they need water. So normally, within a short time, you need to supply maybe a water for 10 people, but within maybe 5 years, we need to supply water for 100 people who are located in the same area. So we need to like overhaul the whole previous infrastructure. So that's why most of our projects are cost dependent on the population. But also we have an issue like development. Now, you know, development normally they come with several issues like people, they change lifestyle, they need more water maybe for swimming pool, they need more water for gardening and everything.
Yeah.
So this also put more pressure on the project and increase the price. But also we have other issues like cross-cutting issues. Like normally with the water project, you need to consider cross-cutting issues like gender, climate change impacts, but also you need to consider issues like environment. Now, when you're looking at the whole, the water project, it is started from the source. And the source normally is not in the town. The source, you find it's very, very far.
Yeah.
Then you transport the water maybe more than 200 kilometers. And when you reach, for instance, the city like Dar es Salaam, you need to supply water to individuals at their household. So those challenges like land use issues, where I want to pass my pipe here, but you find someone house it there. So those are the issues that make the water project very expensive. It's not that other projects that are not expensive, it is. But the thing with the water project is that this is a service, because the water is life, but water is a human right. So when we invest, we don't expect to recover the money soon. So that's why they consider it very expensive, because there's no return. When you put the money, it's just like that, it's a service. That's number one. But when you are talking about what are the criteria we consider for funding the projects, number one is we look on the area where there is a scarcity of the water. Like people, they're really struggling, they need water. This is our priority number one. But number two, we look on the area where they don't have enough water sources. Like I can give you an example, like Dodoma, we don't have river, they don't have any other sources except for groundwater. So that might be a good reason to focus on this area to make sure these people, they have water. But also we have some area where we have health issues related. For instance, we can have place where the water maybe they're using, or due to lack of the water, it resulted to the diseases, certain disease. Then this area should be focused to be given a project so that they can get water, because we need to save their health. So those are, we might say there are major three issues that we may consider. Although there are other issues also need to be taken into consideration, like in development. If the people, they need to invest for agriculture, for industries, then these people, they should be given water in order to trigger development in the specific area. Yes.
Now, if that is the case, and with what you just explained, the reasons why the water sector, the projects in the water sector are way more expensive, what is it now that is in place to cope with the situation? You earlier on mentioned about human capital, technological innovations, and can you just help the audience to understand that?
Yeah, actually, there's not much which can be done to reduce the cost, because normally the government subsidizes. Like for instance, when you compare the cost of the water now at Dar es Salaam, the tariff, you just pay like 1,600 maybe. But when I tell you to buy the 1 liter bottle, is very expensive compared to the water. Yeah. But the only government can do is just to subsidize, because as we go back, this is water is life, water is human right. So I think there's nothing can be done unless, like for now, maybe with the urban setup, they are trying to charge, and what they get is not that can subsidize the cost of investment. It's just a cost for operation and maintenance. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor, for that explanation. Let me go to Mbwana. Mbwana, you work with in the customer service field.
Yep.
So, some citizens actually are saying that when they call the customer service, when they have issues related to water, maybe they don't have access to water in their homes, but when they call those numbers, there's usually no reply. A disclaimer, I tried to call before the program started, and indeed they didn't pick up my phone. So what systems now are in place to ensure that customer complaints are received and handled effectively so that they can have access to water services?
Mostly it's that the people are not picking up our phones. What's the customer complaint on? They don't think the call centers and the hotlines are helping them. But that is caused by the traffic, actually, of the calls that we receive.
But the traffic.
So yes.
But
yes.
what if this is not the first time I try to call? I call so many times and they don't pick up. It's usually.
I mean, we don't say we can't have at all staff who would not pick up the phones intentionally. It can happen, but when we find these situations, we try to deal with them through our HR procedures, because that is a misconduct. But the main reason, the main issue is that we have a lot of traffic of calls, especially during the days, during the daytime. What we should do, or what we are trying to do, is to actually make sure that we provide the services that will not prompt customers to call. That will reduce the traffic, the call traffic, and the complaints of that. My phones are not, our calls are not being picked up. Those complaints will be reduced. So what we do is we make sure that the services reach the customers satisfactorily, to ensure that there are no complaints, and we analyze the complaints that we receive. Those repeating complaints, we make sure that we go and solve the root cause of those problems or those issues, and those scenarios will not recur. So it goes back to making sure that the customers are satisfied, so they don't call. We are not saying they shouldn't call, but they only call because they are not satisfied. So if we satisfy them, then the number of calls will be reduced. Yeah.
Okay. Let me go to Doctor here. Doctor, earlier on you explained about a lot of investments that has been done in the water sector within the country. But still there are areas that people can go even weeks, even a month without having access to water. And that is something that, when people look into the television, for instance, there's a lot that the government is doing to invest, to bring water in the rural areas and more. Yes. But you can find some places, in urban places, for instance, here in Dar es Salaam, not the whole city, but some places, people still don't have access to water. Why is that the case?
Talking about that, the water issues, we have two things. First, we have infrastructure. Then we have that water which you should be running that infrastructure. So you can have good infrastructure, but when the water is not available, then you cannot have water. So the big thing is, like, the government have done a lot on the investment on the infrastructure, but now we have gone to see the different angle, like water sources. Like you have seen the case of Dar es Salaam last year. The challenge was the water was not enough in the river. So we have a very good infrastructure there, but what do we put inside the infrastructure? So now I think the community should be aware of this water resources is very essential when you come to aspect of the access to clean and safe water at our home. So we need to put more effort on protecting our water in aspect of the quality and the quantity, so that we can have this service. Because putting infrastructure is not enough. We need to have this source as a raw material in this infrastructure. So now we need to argue for the community to see, like, this water sources is very potential and refined, need to be protected at all costs. Yes.
Indeed, the Tanzanians have to protect the water sources.
Yes.
Doctor, is there any relationship between the seasons, like the sunny season, the rainy season, with the availability of water, the drying of water, or the increase of water?
Yes, definitely, there is a relationship. Because, like, when it's rain, we expect some water to penetrate in the ground and recharge the groundwater, but also we expect some water to run as a runoff and go to the rivers. Then when it's dry season, those water which have been recharged in the ground should come up and fill the rivers. But now the case is we have a lot of runoff and we have less recharge. So when it's dry season, that water we expect from the ground, that we expect to go to the river, is not normal there. And during the dry season, we see the demand of the water is increasing, because at the same time, when you're looking on the river, it's not only drinking water. We have other uses like agriculture, animals, and industry, but also we need to put water for environment. So when it's dry season, the demand is higher, the supply is low. So to help us in that situation, you can see that now the government is taking the second step to see how we can have much reserve of this water. So we have seen different intervention in the construction of the big dams in order to control the situation. As I mentioned earlier, like now we are in the Kidunda Dam construction, so we expect Dar es Salaam will be well protected, because with the Kidunda, when it's dry season, then the water will be released from the dam.
You explained about the Kidunda Dam, and you know, when the rain season comes, maybe there will be water. But let me go back to one with the concern. So I tried to pass through for instance, the DAWASA page earlier on today, and then I could see the comments, the comment section. I know you work for the customer service, that's your area. Yeah. And then when I read the comments, there are people who are still having complaints that it is the rain season, but still water is a challenge. Why is that the case?
As Doctor explained, that it's not only the availability within the water sources, but also the having sufficient infrastructure to transmit the treated water to the consumers. So yes, we may have rainy season, but if we have, and then we explained earlier that the demand is normally not met by the infrastructure that we have. So we have like a demand which is higher than the supply or the ability to treat water and transmit or distribute. Then definitely there are people who will lack sufficient water. And some regions would go for rationing, and there are areas where customers are not connected at all, so they'll not have water access at all. So it can be a situation where we need to make sure that we have comparable capacities from the sources to the infrastructure for water treatment and supply. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that explanation. Now let's talk about something else. I also, heard a number of people complaining about, that pipes that brings water to the people's places, that there are a number of them that are busted. So, like water is just going out, and the meters continue, to record that water, is going out, and which actually leads to higher bills. You mentioned earlier on about prepaid water meters. Will that be a solution to that? And why do we still have the challenge of the infrastructure, the pipes that bring water to the people, and the challenge of the meters? Kindly explain.
Yeah, well, thank you. Why do we have the challenge of bursts and leakages? Is actually the situation where we have overstaying lines of the pipes that have overstayed within the grounds for long. So now they've gone worse and they need to be replaced.
Why is that? Why are we leaving them there without replacing them?
Again, as we mentioned, the issue of having water infrastructure projects of an expensive nature. So we can't replace all the infrastructures anytime. It's not very easy. That's why we are actually going for innovative ways of doing these things, like alternative financing to support infrastructure development and replacement and sustainability of the service provision. Yeah. So going back to and sometimes the low quality of the material that are being used to connect to customers. And in some regions, customers connect themselves, so they buy those pipes themselves. The control from the utilities may be deterred in those situations. But you mentioned, you asked about the prepaid water meters helping to solve the problem of higher bills, especially if customers have leakages. Yes, the technology may help, but we need to be careful in choosing the type of technology that we install. There are meters which can detect what we call abnormal use. Like the systems may average the customer's consumption per day, and the meters may capture that average quantity of water that is being used by customers per certain period of time, like a day, And if there's a situation where the day's consumption is very high, like twice as much as the normal average, then the meter may alert. Because these meters are integrated with our information systems, then the information system will send SMS to the customers and also back to the utilities that there's an abnormal consumption within a certain compound or a certain household. Maybe we need to check, or maybe the customer needs also to check. So these types of technology may help because they can't refrain the leakages, but they can stop the leakages, but they can alert, and that people will go and work on the leakages, or at least to try to identify what is the cause of the higher consumption that is abnormal.
And when will these meters start to be used?
We are currently in the transition period. We have installed different utilities in the country. Have installed pilot projects to prove the concept of using these technologies. Some utilities have already gone commercially. So for now, countrywide, we have like the last statistic I checked, we have like close to 18,000 meters installed countrywide. But well, we have more than 2.5 customer connections, so we are very far behind. We need to do. But the government is now just last 2 weeks, I think. The ministry has inaugurated with the presence of His Excellency the Prime Minister, has inaugurated the strategy for accelerating of the prepaid water meter installation project. So we are currently in the phases of seeking financing to ensure that we install these prepaid water meters massively within the country.
Thank you so much, Mbwana, for the explanations that you have provided. Now let's talk about something else, Dr. Sekela Twisa. Doctor, we understand that Tanzania's population is growing every day. And as we're heading towards achieving the Vision 2050, the population will be even more than the population that we have now. And alongside economic and, industrial growth will be much during that time, even way more than now. So how is the country now preparing to meet the rising demand for water? If we're saying currently we don't have much water in the water sources during maybe the dry season, how are we meeting up that challenge to make sure that by 2050 it's no longer a challenge in Tanzania?
Water sector, as part of the government, we have seen our Vision 2050. And when you read it, I think the water is mentioned several times because it should be a catalyst to everything that we are going to do. Now, currently the ministry is on the strategy to make sure that by the time we 2050, every Tanzania have the water. And this we are planning on the national water grid. I think you heard about that.
Yeah. Can you kindly explain that for the people who don't know what is this national water grid?
Yeah, actually, national water grid is the concept whereby we take water from the place where we have much water to the place where we don't have enough water. And current idea is like in taking water from Lake Victoria, from Lake Tanganyika, Lake Nyasa, and big rivers. Yes. So looking to that context now, this is a very big project with a lot of money, and we are working on it. And as we heard several times, the Honorable President of Tanzania, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, has mentioned that. So we are working on that. So we hope by the time we reach 2050, every Tanzania will have enough water. And mind you, with this national water grid, we will not only focus on the wash water, like drinking water. We are going to focus also for social economic water, like we need to provide the water to the people for agriculture, for industries and other activity that's related to economic. Yes.
Okay, the future is bright.
The future is bright, definitely.
Let me go to Mbwana. Mbwana, can you kindly tell us, are there any plans now to integrate advanced water treatment technologies that could actually allow safe drinking water directly from the tap, you know, in the future to use? Like how it is in Europe, and actually I know some parts of Tanzania, they can just get water from the tap directly, but for the whole nation. Are there any plans to have that future becoming a reality?
Yes, utilities individually are developing their or improving their treatment plants or treatment facilities to ensure that they provide water that is of acceptable quality, that meets the human consumption standards. And the ministry or the sector is guiding all these utilities to ensure that that is happening. We have people dealing with, supervising the utilities to ensure that they are providing water that is of acceptable standards for human consumption. We even have laboratories, water quality laboratories in all regions, which are helping supervising or to monitor the quality of water that we supply to the community. Yes.
And now let's go back to the National Water Week. Who is allowed to participate in the National Water Week?
Everyone.
Everyone.
Yes.
And what will be happening?
We have several activities that will happen. The first one will be a launching of the dialogue, which will be on 16th, about water-related issues. Then we have a launching of a sector review report, which will happen on 17th. But also normally we have EWURA Day. This is special for EWURA with the water utility. They provide a report of the performance for the last year. Then we will have the official closing of the Water Week will be happening on 22nd. Yes.
Okay. What do you think, Mbwana, how does the future of water sector financing in Tanzania look like?
Yeah, so to me, the future of water sector financing in Tanzania is going to be an all-inclusive financing window. That is, we individuals, we the Tanzanians are going to be the ones to finance infrastructure development and operationalization of these utilities. Why am I saying that? We have now engaged, we have now gone out and engaged resource mobilization from the public, from the stock markets. So I would personally encourage, water is going to be there for life, and we will always have utilities will always have their revenues from the consumers, and so people who would invest in water infrastructure will get their returns. So it is a lucrative investment avenue for the people in the future, and we will see different types of papers or different types of products going to the markets. So that's why I'm saying that everyone in Tanzania will be an investor in the water sector through the utilities that are owned by the government. Yes.
But do we have enough human capital to now be able to, you know, as we have the future where the kind of financing that we have is dominated by the locals? Do we have enough human capital now to run these major infrastructures that we have and we look forward to having in the future?
Yeah, we do.
And the technology as well.
We do, but the good thing with the sector of water sector, we engage different expertise and the stakeholder to be part and parcel of the service provider. For instance, I'll tell you, like in the sanitation, for instance, we oversee the whole process of sanitation, but you can see private trucks are the ones who refill the waste from the household, right? And they bring to the treatment which is owned by the government. So the whole sector in general, we cannot say that we work ourselves. No, definitely we need different stakeholders, and the private partnership are our another hand which help us to fulfill all the requirements that we need. So definitely, yes, we have, but with the engagement of the private sector. Yes.
Okay, and how do you integrate the young people to be part of and parcel of, protecting the water resources? I know young people have different NGOs that deal with those activities. How now do you integrate the young Tanzanians?
We have stakeholder engagement programs, and stakeholders is individuals, organizations, and other parastatals also, but also government departments and utilities have been encouraged, and they are doing. They're engaging with people. If you mentioned young people. We even now have school programs. We have clubs, water clubs in secondary schools. So we raise awareness from that adolescent stages to make sure that education or awareness live for long, and that the future generation will also be knowing and fully engaged in the protection, conservation of water sources, and but actually also making sure that the infrastructures are secured and the water supply is sustainable.
Thank you so much, Mbwana, for the explanations that you have provided. Let me go back to Dr. Stekela. Doctor, it's been 65 years since Tanzania gained independence. Yes. And the water sector has been growing since then, but there has also been challenges, as you had explained as well. Yes. So how do we make sure that, when we come back 65 years later, we do not have the challenges that we have endured for the past 65 years in the water sector? I'll
put it this way, because like he's saying that we will not have challenge at all, that's not possible, because as I mentioned, water sector is dependent on a first investment, but also we have part of operation and maintenance. And this is the area where we normally invest a lot of money, because like operation, you need to treat water, to transport it, then you need to collect that wastewater. So definitely we hope in the future the situation will improve, although now also the situation is improved when you compare to way back. Yeah. But the government is keen to make sure that everyone have an access to safe and clean water in the urban and the rural. And like for urban, we are targeting to reach 100%, and for the rural, 95%. We are almost there. For instance, in the rural, we are left with only 1,575 villages, which they just don't have water. And this is where we put a lot of energy to make sure these people also have access to the water. And this is one of our goals in this March week of 2026, to make sure these people they access to water. So far we are doing very much better. Just the issue will come to operation and maintenance of this service. So our intention is to make sure that this service becomes stable throughout the year, regardless it's dry season or it's rain season. Yes. But we are almost there.
We are almost there. Yes. Now, if the government is doing its role, what is the role of the Tanzanians now? If the government plays its part to ensure that all these things that Doctor has explained comes to reality. What is the role of individual Tanzanians now?
Yeah, very much important. The sustainability of the sector is dependent on every individual. There are those who are using the water sources. They should use them cleverly and on the level that they are allowed to. Those living around the water sources, again, not to use for human consumption, that human needs that are not allowed, so that they don't pollute, but also secure the infrastructures and pay the bills on time to make sure that these utilities are sustainable in the operation.
And what do you think on that?
Yes, the water is not free. People, they should pay their bills on time. And, but also they should protect those infrastructure, because we have some cases where the people, they distract those pipes. So that is very costly, because we have to shut down the service at that time so that we can do the maintenance. That's the time where the people are affected. And it's very costly, not only to the government, but to the individual, because when you don't access water, you need to buy somewhere else, which is very expensive. So in general, the committee, we ask them to protect those infrastructure, but more important thing is to protect the water sources. Because as we highlighted, if we don't protect the water source, it's contaminated. The cost for treating it is very high compared to when it's very protected. Yeah. So we need to protect water, because if you don't protect now, if you're not affected yourself, then your children or the next generation will be affected big time.
Yes. The impact can go to the generations to come.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to add before we conclude our session? I'm giving you a few minutes for each one of you.
Yeah, so I'm encouraging the people to we're engaging with them during this National Water Week. I'm inviting them to come to our desks, customer service desks, the outdoor desks that we put on the streets and the different areas to get information, but also to give feedback to us in terms of what they learn or they experience about our services, so that we can improve wherever needed. Yeah.
And Dr. Twisa, is there anything that you want to add?
Yes, on concluding, we are talking about sustainability of water sector.
Yeah.
Just in short, it starts with me and you.
Indeed.
Yes.
It starts with me and you. TVC1 viewers, the program on air was focused on this week, and today we discussed about sustainability of water sector through investment and financing. And here at the studio, I was joined with Dr. Sekela Twisa, who is the Director of Project Appraisal and Resource Mobilization at the National Water Fund. But also I was with Alawi Mbwana, who is the Director of Customer Service at the Tanga Urban Water Supply and Sanitation Authority, that is Tanga UWASA. And indeed, as you heard, they actually, gave the education to the people that it is very important that everyone plays their role. When the government plays their role to protect the water sources and to improve the service delivery of the water sector, everyone has a role to play. The citizens, as the government will play its role, the citizens should also play their role. Leading the program, I was your host, Caroline Maleo. Until next time, bye-bye.